Hello everyone and welcome to a new Heimdal security webinar. My name is Alina Marie, webinar program manager at Heimdal Security, and as usual, your host for these events. It's a real pleasure to have you all here today. Thank you very much for joining. Today we're going to talk about botnets, but first, here's the agenda for today. I'm going to briefly introduce Heimdal Security for the persons that are new to our webinars or maybe haven't heard about us yet. And then, of course, we'll get down to business, talking about what is a botnet, how do they attack, then how do these botnets spread. We'll also highlight notorious big botnets and how to protect your organization against this type of attacks. And of course, how our products can then help you achieve that. There's also a Q&A session that we have, so feel free to shoot any questions that you may have during the webinar. I'll try to answer them when we get to that dedicated time slot. And at the very end, I have prepared a surprise for you, and I think you will enjoy it. So that being said, let me share a couple of things about us as an organization. So we are a leading European provider of cloud-based cybersecurity. We are based in Copenhagen in Denmark. We've actually been invented by some of the winners of what's called the DEF CON Capture the Flag. The DEF CON Capture the Flag is seen as the world hacking championship, if you will. And there, you see themes from the likes of the FBI, the NSA, freelancers, other big security companies that are competing. And in 2011 and 2012, we had our own team there, and our guys managed to win the championship for 2 years in a row. It was actually for the first time in the history of the competition when it was won by a non-US team. And when our guys came back home, they said, you know what, if we can win the competition with our product, we can for sure fend off some hackers. So this is kind of how the foundation of Heimdal Security was laid. As you can observe from our logo, we take our northern heritage very seriously. Even our name Heimdal originates from the northern mythology, where Heimdal was the ultimate guardian. He protected the rainbow bridge named the Bifrost that connected the earth with the home of the gods, the city Asgard. And really pretty much everything that we do as an organization is pretty much on the same line. We are protecting your machines from getting infected with malware, getting that malware on your machines, and of course, exfiltrating data from your machines to malicious actors. Our product has been in the market since 2014. We now have some of the market's leading products in proactive threat prevention, and our threat intelligence is recognized and appraised by the FBI. It is endorsed by the NC3, which is the cybercrime police unit in Denmark. And we're also working together with the Europol and the US Department of Justice in something that's called the No More Ransom Initiative. And on another train of thoughts, we are also honored to be recommended by the Royal Bank of Scotland as their preferred cybersecurity solution for their business customers. So I think that was a pretty short introduction of our organization, who we are, what we do as a company. Now let's talk about botnets. And of course, it's only natural that I start, what is a botnet? Well, the term botnet is really formed from the words robot and network. And it represents a number of hijacked internet devices that each run one or more bots that are being used to carry out different type of attacks, or cyber attacks, scams, and they're usually coordinated through command and control server. To put it simply, it's a network of machines that's used to attack other machines, and in principle, it can have 2 different command and control server architecture. So the first one is the client-server model. That's the first generation of botnets that operated on this architecture, where the command and control server operates the entire botnet. And due to its simplicity, centralized botnets are still being used today. However, they pose a disadvantage as they are prone to a single point of failure. Now, the more modern botnets use the peer-to-peer model, the peer-to-peer architecture or decentralized architecture. And these peer-to-peer botnets are harder to implement than the client-server models, the previous model, but are more resilient because they do not rely on one centralized server. Instead, each bot works independently as both as a client and as a server, updating and sharing information between each other in a coordinated manner to perform different type of actions. And for the bot masters, as the collection of the bots grow, the computer power and the storage capabilities that are available for the malicious actor grows as well. And when a botnet runs on a machine, it has just as much access to the resources of the machine as a legitimate user would do. So let's have a look at some interesting facts about botnets. So in 2020, Amazon revealed a DDoS attack on its public cloud, and this attack peaked at 2.3 terabytes per second in power. And recently after, Google also revealed another attack that took place on them. This one was larger. It was 2.5 terabytes per second in power. And a distributed denial of service or a DDoS attack aims to simply overwhelm an organization defenses with a massive flood of requests that are delivered from all over the slave computers, if you will. And that's why it makes it very, very hard for the victim to block this type of attacks, because they cannot simply just pinpoint every location and just block every single source that sends the request and the flood to that server or to that organization. In the second half of 2020, the top locations for where the botnets were detected were India, Egypt, and China, and these accounted for around 3/4 of the total. So quite impressive numbers that really show the power that the attackers can amass through their botnet armies. But you may be wondering, how do these botnets spread? Well, whenever you're surfing the internet, whenever you're clicking a link on a website or in an email, it's very often that you would download some type of software. Sometimes it's useful, legitimate software. A lot of time though, that software, once it's installed on an endpoint, it can actually be malicious. That's called malware. And this is a major cause for the spread of botnets. They're all over the social networks and the web in general now, in instant messaging as well. And once an attacker has compromised the machine on a network, there's really a high possibility that a vulnerable machine on that network becomes infected as well and then passes it on to the other vulnerable machines. Unfortunately, this also applies to the more recent technologies such as the Internet of Things, or the IoT in short. These have unique vulnerabilities that really make them desirable targets, along with desktops, laptops, and servers, and phones and tablets. So IoTs are really becoming an important part of our digital life, and their sensor network are different from conventional networks in the sense that the sensor devices are low powered and sometimes even use batteries as their power source. And due to this power restriction, and these constraints mean that they also have limited processing capabilities, which often leads to also having poor cybersecurity. And it's very common, actually, that IoT devices cannot be remotely patched, leaving them vulnerable to exploits and to attacks. So the botnets can use the more traditional devices, but they can also use the IoT networks to spread. And they usually do this in two ways, in a passive way and in an active way. So in order to spread passively, botnets require some sort of user intervention. For example, when you go to a website that could potentially run JavaScript, that website can become infected, and then they pass on the malware to the website's visitor. Botnets can also spread to social engineering campaigns. I'm not going to get into a lot of details about that today. I'm going to have a separate session on social engineering in a future webinar, so stay tuned for that. But then actively, botnets can also spread without the user intervention, because in this case, a botnet would have an inherent infection mechanism, basically allowing him to scan for hosts that have known vulnerabilities on that network and then exploit that known vulnerabilities. So you may be thinking, if these botnets can amass such power and do such damage, wow, they must be hard to come by, hard to deploy. But the reality is that they're pretty easy to come by. If you go on the dark web, which I advise you don't, they're cost around $30, and when you try to deploy them, they don't really require you to be a computer genius. And traditionally, botnets are the weapon of choice to spread spam, but at the botmaster discretion. Zombie computers can also rack up site views, click on ads, watch videos, post comments, like pictures, and so on. This is also known as click fraud. The more sophisticated botnets can also go a step further, and they can fill out forms, even do online purchases. And recently, the botmasters jumped onto the cryptocurrency train, if you will, through cryptojacking, and they use botnets to mine crypto coins. And thanks to the massive amount of power that their botnet was capable to amass, they were actually able to make around $8,500 per week in a cryptocurrency that's named Monero. Botnets can also be used to monitor network traffic, either passively to gather intelligence and steal credentials, or actively to inject malicious code into HTTP traffic. DNS snooping would map the IP addresses to domain names that are contained in a dynamic database or a local file in order to discover what queries are being made, which domains might be the best targets for maybe a cache poisoning attack, or what type of mistyped domains might be worth registering so that they can lure into their trap the potential users. On top of that, as I mentioned, botnets are also responsible for the infamous DDoS attacks, but they can also act as droppers. What they will do is that they will plant more payload. So once installed on the machine, they go to their servers and get more payload that would do different type of actions on their machines, on those infected computers, including initiating ransomware payloads. So before moving forward, I have prepared a quick poll for you. I'm going to activate it now. I'm just curious to know, which of the listed botnets from the poll are you actually familiar with? So I hope you can see the poll. Let me know if you can't. I'm going to give you around 60 seconds to vote, and then we'll continue. All right, just a couple more seconds. Some interesting results here, which you will be able to see once the poll closes. All right, so I think that's enough time for the voting. Let me close the poll. I'm going to share it with you guys. Hope you can see it. So the majority of you actually heard about Emotet, which is perfect because I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, maybe for the persons that haven't heard about it, or maybe to present it with some interesting facts about it as well. There are just a couple of you that know about Grum, Mirai, Mariposa, or Cutwail. I'm going to hide a poll and continue with the slides now, because the next section is actually addressing, this notorious big botnet. I hope you can still see my screen and can hear me okay. So can you? All right, good. So I'll start with Cutwail. I've noticed from the poll that not a lot of you have heard about the Cutwail. It's actually a malware that it's targeting the Windows operating system through malicious emails and different other type of scamming. It was discovered back in 2007. It was distributed by a Trojan named Pochdo, and this Trojan turned the infecting system into a spam bot. At some point, it was identified that Cutwail has compromised around 1.5 and 2 million systems, and it was capable of sending 74 billion spam emails per day. At the time when these numbers were discovered, it represented 46.5% of the global spam distribution, so more like a monopoly, if you will, in spam. But it was one of the largest botnets that was declared in 2009. The FBI, the Europol, other law enforcement agencies, they attempted to take down Cutwail in 2014, but apparently the botnet remains active even as we speak. The next botnet is Grum. This is a massive pharmaceutical spammer bot. It was identified in 2008. At the time, it appeared to be more complex and much larger beyond the imagination of the experts. In July 2012, actually, it was able to send 18 billion emails, spam emails, of course, per day. And then later on, law enforcement agencies discovered around 136,000 internet addresses that were sending spam for Grum. So quite impressive numbers here as well. Mariposa originated in Spain in 2008. This botnet hijacked around 12.7 million computers around the world in about 2 years. It infected computers in around 190 countries using different methods such as instant messages, file sharing, hard disk devices. They also used malvertising, which is basically using digital ads to spread malware. And it appears it was able to steal millions of dollars from the unsuspecting users by taking their credit card numbers and their credentials to their banking websites. Methbot. This is one of the biggest ever digital ad malware that acquired thousands of IP addresses with US-based internet service providers. The operators of the botnet firstly created around 6,000 domains and 25,000 distinct URLs. These appear to be from premium publishers such as ESPN and Vogue and others. And later, video ads from malicious advertisers were posted on these websites, which send their bots to watch around 30 million ads per day. Impressive. Next in line, I can see some of you have heard about Mirai, which is good because this one is one of the biggest DDoS botnets ever seen. It really disrupted many high-profile websites such as OVH, DYN, Krebs on Security, and actually OVH stated that the attacks exceeded 1 terabyte per second. It was the largest on public record at the date of the statement. Now, a couple of years further in 2019, there was a new Mirai version that was spotted. It has 27 new exploits, and it targeted enterprise devices. And this time around, beside targeting let's say the normal targets, that would be computers, of course, routers, network, video cameras, wireless controllers, and others. They also concentrated on attacking smart TVs and presentation systems that were found in enterprise environments, and it's still operational and still representing a major threat to organizations and users worldwide. And I left Emotet at the end because I was kind of expecting maybe a lot of you have heard about it. But maybe as a short recap, or maybe news to some of the users, some of the attendees of the webinar. This is one of the most dangerous botnet that was ever built by cyber criminals. The Emotet malware involved several hundred servers that were located across the world. All of these have different functions in order to manage the computers of the infected victims, to spread to new computers, of course, to serve other criminal groups. Think of it as botnet as a service, if you will, and of course to make the ultimately their network more resilient to take down attempts. It was first spotted in 2014 as a banking Trojan, and then it has evolved into a botnet that was used by a group, a threat group named the Mummy Spider, to deploy second stage malware payloads. And Emotet dropped Quackbot, Trickbot, which in turn would deploy the Ryuk and the Conti ransomware on the victim's compromised computers. Basically, the entire infrastructure acted as a primary door opener for computer systems around the world. But following a global effort, because the network was huge, law enforcement agencies was able to take down the entire botnet infrastructure from the inside, because they gained access to the servers, and they closed them all down in January 2021. You may have heard about this in the news. So these are some of the most famous botnets. I wanted to talk to you about them just to kind of put a little bit of perspective on the amount of power and damage that the botnets can do. Now let's see how you can avoid the zombification of your organization, if you will. So for those of you who have participated to the previous webinars, you're probably sick of me talking about this, but cybersecurity awareness and education should be the foundation of having a better cybersecurity posture within your organization. It all starts from your employees. Should have a cybersecurity training at least twice per year. You should teach your employees how to spot a phishing email, how a potential malicious link would look like, why they need to follow the instructions of your IT administrators, and what are the consequences of not doing so. So please make this a priority in your organization as well. Next in line is going to be, of course, improving old passwords. And a lot of us out there are taking care of maybe passwords for the laptops, for the servers, for the computers, but we a lot of times forget about the smart devices like the camera or smart fridge or smart TV and so on, or even the password to the router. A lot of times these cannot be remotely patched, so your IT administrator won't be able to do that for you. Please make sure that you would put in strong passwords, and wherever possible, use two-factor authentication, as this is going to add an extra layer of security and better protection for your devices. Now, you should also make sure that your endpoints are patchable, because not all products are secure during every stage or every single stage of their life cycle. A lot of devices are being left vulnerable for various reasons. It can be that they are no longer supported by the vendor, or they are even released with existing vulnerabilities, or they cannot be remotely patched, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So research the reviews on a product safety and security features before buying a product. You should also deploy and configure network and application firewalls. These are going to help you stop attacks that have known signatures to these protection measures, and you should also not neglect the prevention tools. These are out there, but for a lot of reasons, organizations and individuals either are not aware of them and not using them, or they want to keep their costs as low as possible. Maybe they're not giving any incentive to deploy them, or maybe they lack sufficient technical expertise. But it is important to patch frequently. You should have a patching program deployed in your organization. This patching program should look at all your assets, all your endpoints, even the IoTs, and determine what needs patching, test the patches, and then, of course, deploy the patches. And also, you should also look at a solution that's proactively guarding you against unknown signatures, such as a DNS security solution that can block malicious traffic that's really unknown to traditional security solutions, such as an antivirus or a firewall. So that being said, you may be wondering, how can we help? I mentioned prevention tools. I let them at the end intentionally. I think it's only fair that we take you on a high-level overview of our solution, so that whenever you're going to be in the market or thinking about improving your cybersecurity, you would be able to make a much more educated decision. And I'm going to present you two products. It's going to be threat prevention, the threat prevention module, which is comprised of dark layer guard and vector detection, and the automated patch management solution and custom software deployment solution. But instead of hearing me talking about these today, I'm going to try something new. I hope you will enjoy it. I'm going to share two videos for you. First for the threat prevention, and then for the patch and asset management. They're pretty short, 2 minutes each. So I hope you enjoy them. Let me know in the questions if you won't be able to see it. So I'm going to start sharing that video now. I hope you will also be able to hear it.
Reactive security, such as an antivirus, can no longer keep up with the constantly evolving cyber threatscape. More than 90% of today's malware uses DNS as a key angle for installation and execution. How does your organization handle these modern threats? Does it react to them, or does it prevent them? Dark Layer Guard is the most advanced traffic threat hunting engine that works at DNS, HTTP, and HTTPS layers to block the delivery of malware and ransomware payloads and prevent execution and data exfiltration. By scanning the traffic to and from your network, it instantly blocks compromised domains and cuts off communications to criminal-controlled infrastructures. It also leverages a unique threat-to-process correlation technology to identify users and processes at risk, proactively hunting for network-based threats and allowing you to act fast. On top of its unparalleled DNS filtering intelligence, the combination with vector end detection further enhances your threat prevention, giving you host intrusion prevention, host intrusion detection, and indicators of attack and compromise capabilities by using machine learning on device-to-infrastructure communication to stop attacks that antiviruses can't detect. The code-autonomous vector end detection technology establishes patterns in your DNS traffic to anticipate attacks and map out the security-critical points in your environment. Dark Layer Guard and Vector End Detection intelligently work together for next-gen traffic telemetry, allowing you to hunt, prevent, detect, and block even the most advanced cyber threats. Available at both perimeter and endpoint level, this unique technology blend complements any antivirus and enriches any firewall, providing you with the ultimate threat prevention solution for your on-site and remote workforces. Vector End Detection and Dark Layer Guard are compatible with any existing security solutions and can be deployed in your environment in under an hour. Anticipate, not just mitigate attacks. Prevent, not just deal with the consequences of data leaks.
All right, so hope you guys can see and hear me again. I hope you enjoy the video. There's one thing that I would add on top of it. I think that's especially important during these times is the fact that an immediate advantage for an IT administrator would be that it can remotely control what a user can access or cannot access, regardless of where they are. They don't have to be on the local network or on the enterprise network. Even if they're working from home or from beach in Malibu or I don't know, someplace else, the employees can be protected and the administrators can control what these users can or cannot do on their machines. Now, for the vulnerability management, as I said, there's the patch and access management solution, as well as the custom software delivery solution. It's all in one. And there's another quick video that I prepared for you. Here it is. I'm gonna start sharing it now.
Every 14 seconds, a ransomware attack hits an enterprise. Most attacks have a common target: outdated software. Gartner warns that vulnerability management is the second most important in the top 10 crucial security projects all organizations should focus on. Patching is difficult and time-consuming in the lack of an automated solution. How do you mitigate vulnerabilities efficiently without straining your resources and employees? Discover how Exploit Resilience and its unique Infinity Management add-on take vulnerability and patch management to the next level by proactively closing security gaps in your environment before they can be used by attackers. With more than 2 million vital patches applied every month, Exploit Resilience lets you move beyond SCCM or WSUS for rapid deployment of security-critical software and patches and updates. Looking to deploy both Microsoft and third-party software on the fly from anywhere in the world and according to any schedule? With Exploit Resilience, you have granular control over your software inventory. You achieve flawless data compliance with a full CVE CVSS audit trail and benefit from preemptive vulnerability management to prevent attacks before they hit your organization. All updates are delivered from the cloud to your endpoints locally, on the spot or according to any schedule, using encrypted packages inside an encrypted HTTPS transfer. Distribution is further optimized using only local network P2P between your own machines. The built-in Unified Software Center also allows you to remove admin rights, allowing users to click and install only approved apps. With the Infinity Management add-on, you can also deploy your own proprietary software and updates from the Unified Exploit Resilience interface and through our secure servers. Watch how these updates are being installed securely across thousands of endpoints, anywhere in the world, with just a few clicks. Achieve compliance, mitigate exploits, close vulnerabilities, deploy updates, and install software on the fly. Anything, anytime, and anywhere in the world.
A quick summary of this video would be that you can basically patch anything, anywhere in the world, regardless of where your workforce is located, in the office or someplace else, and pretty much any time. In just 4 hours after a patch has been released by a vendor, it's tested by us, and we can deliver it to your machines through encrypted traffic and encrypted packages. And the same applies if you have your own custom proprietary software that you want to deploy to your endpoints, as well as maybe custom patches. So it applies on the same principle. They use the cloud delivery network to push that. You can use that cloud delivery network to push that software or that patch through any user anywhere in the world, anytime. So I hope you found this overview of our products useful. I hope you enjoy the videos, even though one was played 1.5 perhaps. Now let's move to the Q&A session. I'm just curious to see what questions you have for me today. So if there are any, just shoot them out. So somebody's asking if I can share the presentation. The presentation is going to be available on our website probably tomorrow afternoon, heimdalsecurity.com/webinars. There's where you would be able to maybe re-listen to it if you wish, and that's the place where you can find the other webinars that I've done in the past. Maybe you'll find those useful as well. I'm getting a question if there's an option to patch on the second or third weekday. There are options to deliver the patches according to a schedule, and you can push those patches either on a specific day of the week or during a specific time slot, or outside a specific time slots. If you know at a specific group policy level that your workers are maybe working during the night, you may want to have your endpoints patched during the day. And the same thing applies for the Windows updates as well. And you can also reboot remote reboot the machines, and even force reboots, just to make sure that sometimes patches require a reboot of the machine, just to make sure that that patch is installed. So all those options are available within the patch management. So I'm being asked if the software is a single product or it does contain more modulars. We really take a modular approach to cybersecurity, and the threat prevention module is separate to the vulnerability management module. So for that, there are going to be different costs associated to those products, but our cybersecurity consultants are going to be in touch with you, and they will be able to assist with more information in regards to the cost and how that's being managed. I'm really not part of that process. But anyway, we'll have someone get in touch with you to provide you with more details about that. Another question that's related to costs again. So one thing that's going to happen in the next couple of days, I was going to talk about it in the giveaway session, is that you will be able to get a 30-day free trial of the product. And of any product actually. So for that, one of our cybersecurity consultants is going to be in touch with you. But also, they're going to do a free cybersecurity vulnerability assessment, if you will. And they're going to ask you questions, and this is going to be your chance whenever you're going to get on the phone with our cybersecurity consultants to ask them as many questions as you want about the product, about the cost, and so on and so forth. So they will be able to help you with that as well. Someone's asking if there's a way to generate a report of how many endpoints are patched. Everything is being managed through a unified dashboard, both for the threat prevention module and the vulnerability assessment. So you're going to have everything in a single place through a single agent. Not going to be multiple agents you're going to have to install, and you would have visibility to at each endpoint level. You'll be able to see and generate reports of, what's being patched, what's the latest version. Maybe there are certain versions of a patch you would like to skip, and that's also possible as well. And another question is asking, what's the best protection against botnets? Well, I intentionally showcased the DNS security, which is a threat vulnerability, and the vulnerability assessment modules, because these are essential in preventing an attack, a botnet attack. One, through patching, because 85% of malware is using that as an attack vector, and one through having DNS protection. Basically, if there are unknown threats to the antivirus or the firewall, those could pass. But at DNS level and using machine learning, we are actually able to detect even domains that are being not malicious yet, let's say, but are going to be used maliciously in the future. So we have a 96% success rate on that as well. Somebody is asking which operating systems are supported by the patch management. So we are deploying these on Windows, but we're looking at Macs as well, as far as I know. So there are also some other questions that I'll take offline. They're a little bit more technical in regards to compatibility to some other type of products. I will get back with an answer in an email. Don't worry about that. Now, since I kind of covered the giveaway section, maybe there's just one little surprise I have left for you. I already talked about the 30-day enterprise version that the trial that you can have, and of course about the free vulnerability management assessment. I'm sorry, but there's also going to be an email coming from me in the next couple of days that's going to contain a license key for Heimdal Threat Prevention Home for 1 year and 3 devices, so you can use it and be better protected at home. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I really thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for the questions, for the interactivity, for answering the poll. I hope you found this session useful. At the end of the webinar, there's going to be a small questionnaire, a small survey. Please fill it in. I'd like to know what's your opinion about the content, and maybe if you have suggestions to better improve it, I'd like that. And of course, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all good health and stay safe both offline and online. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye-bye.